You're going to burn money on your MVP until you fix this first. Did you know that most MVP budgets die not because of the slow dev team, but because they were building the wrong thing fast? And the brutal truth is that most founders end up rewriting half of their code of the MVP within just 3 weeks after launch. You see, normally there are 2 MVP tracks that define the failure or success of any MVP, right? So just to put it in perspective, track A right here is something that you need to stay away from. Why? Because it looks polished, and it's not that you shouldn't be having a polished MVP, but the focus is so much that you forget the other things. It becomes noise, right? And then you're constrained to a fixed number of features. Now that might be 6, 12, 18. And this means you're leaving the room for user feedback, right? So you're pretty confident on the problem that you're solving and you think it actually exists. And you are assuming that the nitty-gritty details of a specific industry under target do actually exist, and your MVP is going to support that problem or all those problems that you're targeting. What you need to understand is that the MVP focuses on one key action, right? One problem, just to allow the product to step into the market. And for that reason, it focuses on the bare minimum, right? So you have the bare bones because you're focusing on one key action, and attached to it is a tight feedback loop, which means that now you are dependent on the consumers that are consuming your product to tell you exactly what they need and what problems your application or product should solve. And based on that feedback, you can take the iterative approach. This actually is cheaper to fix right here. But here's the uncomfortable truth no one talks about. The real cost of an MVP isn't the code, but it's actually in redoing it. Because every wrong assumption baked into code now has to be unbaked with time, budget, and developer pain. Let me show you. We got this graph right here in front of us, right? We got the cost to fix on the y-axis, and we have different phases of the development within the X. The cost within each one of these phases grows exponentially. So if there was a problem that could be fixed within the design phase for just $300, it could take 10 times that amount within the development phase, okay? And then in live, it's even more expensive because now you have actual paying customers that are being disturbed and consumed by the changes that you are consistently doing within your product. So the question here is, what's the fix, right? And the simple answer to that is you need to burn assumptions, not budget. And you do that by iterating where it's cheap, essentially the design phase right here. A clickable prototype that isn't just mock-up, it's your learning lab. Let users poke holes into your prototype before you write a single line of code. And this is how the iteration of the design phase looks like, right? So you sketch your initial idea, whatever that might be, you get the prototype, you pass that prototype to user for testing, and then you gather the feedback. And then based on that feedback, you do the adjustment. And when you follow through this iterative approach within the design phase, it makes it way more cheaper for you to iterate your product without even writing a single line of code. And the trap is that most founders think that design phase actually slows them down, so they don't even consider it in the first place. But let me flip it this way. It's your dev team that slows you down when you're running in the wrong direction. And the design phase lets you change that direction with zero technical debt. And to put it into perspective, so this is your sprint 1, where you have development first, which hits a wall because there is no iterations taking place effectively within development, since you understand that it's not going to be cost effective and time effective, right? The other way out is that you have sprint number 2, where you're designing first and validating the goals based on this particular feedback loop that I've talked about, where you're sketching, prototyping, giving that prototype to users for testing, and then based on the feedback given by the users after they perform tests, you could adjust within the design phase. So yeah, you are going to burn money on your MVP, but the choice is yours. Are you going to burn money in smart design sprints that cost you hours, or post-launch rewrites that cost you months and momentum? If you're unsure what your MVP should actually validate, drop a comment down in this video. I'll reply back with questions that would help you sharpen it.